Hello everyone, Rob here with California Hike, Bike, and RV. I'm here to talk to you about my ride-in appointment with Russell Daylong Custom Seats. It was an awesome experience, but I'm going to give you the tips and tricks that you're going to need to know. So stay tuned because this is what you need to know. So the first thing I did when I arrived was of course I walked in, I met Jay, and Jay told me that he wanted to go over all of the items that I had already chosen. Those were dual seats, which includes the driver, of course, and the passenger seat. I wanted the backrest. I also wanted the Sunbrella fabric compared to the vinyl or the leather. Now, when you order Sunbrella, you have vinyl sides like you can see here, and then you have the Sunbrella fabric for the seating portion and the backrest portion. I also could have done the backrest portion of the passenger seat, but I didn't really think it was necessary. So I just stuck with the Sunbrella on the two seats and the driver's backrest. The other thing that I needed to choose was the stitch pattern, and there are four stitch patterns like you see here that you have available only during the ride-in appointment. When you send in your seat, there are many more stitch patterns available, but because of the complexity of not only stitching this Sunbrella fabric, but the complexity of some of the stitch patterns, you're only allowed to go with those four that you see here in the picture. They advertise that over 150 pounds, they add the spring to the seat. And the spring isn't like you would think. They're not coil springs where they're pushing up onto a steel plate with foam padding or something like that. It's actually a wide spring that keeps the sides from buckling down and So basically, when I talked to Jay, he said that, look, guys that have 130-pound passengers get it just for the added support, but below that, it's probably going to be a little bit too stiff. So I went ahead and got it, and I'll get into that a little bit later, but Liz, my fiance, loves it. So she has nothing but good things to say about it. So like I said, I'll get a little bit more into that towards the end of the video. There was one other option that he gave me. The Sunbrella fabric, the true black Sunbrella fabric, didn't exactly match the black vinyl that it was going against, as you can see here. So what I did was I wanted to make it look like I made the choice to have two-tone rather than be an accident. So I went with one shade color of black less. It's almost like a gunmetal gray or a dark gray, and it kind of lent itself to a two-tone color, and I really like how it turned out. It looks really nice. I hope it shows as well in this video, but it really looked good, and more importantly, Liz loved it. She loved the color. So, and she's very, very particular about things like that. So important to know. So once we went through all of my options and choices of all the different decisions I had to make, it was time for him to bring Daniel in and let me meet Daniel. Daniel was my builder. And what he did was we went out to my bike. I sat on the stock seat. They took some measurements of inseam, looked at where my feet were placed on the floor. With the center stand down and sitting on the stock seat in my normal riding position, I could flat foot the ground with my riding boots. And I told him that that was a little bit of a concern. They asked me if I had any concerns. I had two of them. One concern was I heard that it rose up once the seat is installed. And so I wanted to make sure that I could touch the ground, obviously. And I had heard and read all about scooting forward, and I'll go over that because it does work, and I'll show you what it means to scoot forward in the seat to be able to touch the ground more firmly. But that was one of my concerns, being able to touch the ground at least with the balls of my foot. And then also I've got, you may or may not be able to see it, but I've got bar back extenders, 2-inch bar back extenders here. And I wanted to be able to make sure that when I had my feet on the highway pegs and I was leaning all the way back into the backrest, that I wasn't reaching so that I was hunched forward. I wanted to be able to relax my arms down into a normal riding position and also relax my back into the backrest to give me support for long rides. One of the reasons why I did this, I live in California, and my son and my grandkids and my son's wife lives in Wyoming, and I want to be able to ride to Wyoming and not worry about seeing a chiropractor or something by the time I get there. I ended up just going to breakfast at this point because 2 hours later, they tell you when you're there at 8 o'clock, they tell you to come back at 11 or 11:30, depending on your build, for final fitting before they actually upholster it. So once I got back from breakfast, I came back, I think it was 11 o'clock that Daniel told me he would need me back. Once I got back at 11 o'clock, he brought out the seat without the upholstered portion of it. Just put the seat on. He laid down some fabric to intimate what it would be like when I sat on it. And then once I sat on it, I just wanted to make sure and they wanted to make sure that I could touch the ground, which I had no problem with. I can't quite flat-foot it anymore, but easily with the balls of my feet. And I'll go into that a little bit later in the video. So once they did the final fitting and everything was great, that was it. And then I came back at 4 o'clock to make sure that it was complete and everything fit right, and it was great. And there you have it. So that was the process of the actual appointment day. Okay, I'm going to talk about some of the measurements of the stock seat compared to the Russell Daylong seats, both the driver and the passenger. I'll start with the driver's seat. The driver's stock seat, measured with the bike on the center stand, is 31¼ inches. And now, this isn't scientific. These are approximate measurements, but it'll give you a good idea. So, and that is at the tallest part of the stock driver's seat, 31¼ inches. The Russell Daylong seat at its height is 33½ inches, also on the center stand. And you know, I've seen other reviews that say take off an inch or two because the seat is cupped. But I disagree with that because the build of the seat is specifically so that your butt is on the perimeter portion of the seat, which is the highest portion. So I measured it that way. The driver's stock width at its widest point was about 14¼ inches. And on the Russell Daylong, the width at its widest point is 17 inches. So you can see a little bit of difference there. On the passenger seat, the height of the passenger seat for the stock seat was 36½ inches. And on the Russell Daylong, you're looking at 39 inches. And again, all of these measurements are with the bike up on the center stand. So the passenger stock width at its widest point was 16¾ inches, and the RDL width at its widest point is 17¼ so really only about a ½ inch difference there. Not a big difference in the width, but a huge difference in how it supports your passenger. Okay, so let's talk about some of that insider knowledge, some of that insider information that I was talking about. The first thing that I want to talk to you about right off the bat is the fact that the Sunbrella fabric, and if you want to talk to Jay or any of the guys at Russell Daylong, they told me that every single rider employee that works at Russell Daylong has the Sunbrella fabric because of the not only the fit and the finish, but also the way that it feels not only in the summer, but also in the winter. In the summer, it breathes better, so it's cooler on your butt, which is important to me. Nobody wants sweaty, you know what. And in the wintertime, I had them reinstall the heater elements in my seats, both the passenger and the driver's seat. And in the wintertime, it heats up faster and you can feel more of the heat. In fact, Liz tried that yesterday when we went on a ride. It was a fairly cool morning, and she turned it on. She said that that the heater element, she could feel it quicker, and it was a little bit warmer, which she loved. She said, "Why didn't you get one in the backrest?" So, anyways, the other thing that you want to know about the Sunbrella is, my understanding is you do need to protect it if it's raining, just like any of the other ones. I didn't get the cover that Russell Daylong sells, mostly because I just don't ride in inclement weather. But that's something for you to be aware of. So another thing that you want to be aware of is, where do you stay if you're going to ride in for your appointment at Russell Daylong? Well, I checked with the guys at RDL, and I also checked the area. And one of the guys, I don't remember who it was, at RDL recommended Fawndale Lodge. I'm security conscious. My bike's never been out of my garage. And I just didn't like the thought of leaving my bike out at a hotel where I just, I couldn't keep an eye on it, or couldn't hear it if somebody messed with it, etc., etc. So if you go to Russell Daylong for a ride-in appointment, make sure that you go to Fawndale Lodge. The link is below. I put a link below. And when you call in to make your reservation, make sure that you ask for Unit 7. Unit 7 has a carport. It's not a garage, but at least it's a carport. And I was able to park in the carport forward enough towards the street that if the alarm went off on my bike or something, I'd be able to look out the front window and see at least a portion of my bike. It was also covered under the carport, so if there's any weather, your bike's safe from that. And I also put on a bike cover while it was parked there overnight. So I didn't have any issues. Fawndale Lodge is about 8 minutes away from RDL store location. 6 minutes if you ride like me. And it's also out of town. So it's kind of out of the way. It's just a nice place to stay As you can see from the picture here, I really appreciated having that carport available to me, and also being able to park my bike right next to the front door. So that's another one of the insider info tips that you need. So let's talk about one of the really important insider knowledge tips when you go for a ride-in appointment at Russell Daylong, and that is the fact that they have in their warehouse many stock seats for various bikes that they service. They happen to have a stock seat for mine, and because of that, I was able to switch out my stock seat that they were going to work on and rebuild from the pan up for one of their stock seats, and I was able to take off and see a little bit of sights and do a little bit of riding up there in Northern California when I was there for my Russell Daylong appointment. And I did some research beforehand, and I actually was able to find out that Siskiyou Lake and another lake called Castle Lake was only about an hour north of the Russell Daylong location. So in the afternoon, I couldn't do it in the morning because once we went through the whole process and I was able to get out of there, it was probably already about 9:15 or so, 9:30. And so I only had a couple of hours because I had to be back at 11:30. Well, when I left at about noon or 12:15-ish, I didn't have to be back till about 4 o'clock. And so that gave me almost 4 hours to go do my own thing. So as I was riding up to Siskiyou Lake, I found a couple of drone spots, and when I got to Siskiyou Lake, I did a little bit of droning, and so I've got a little bit of video because I think it would be of interest to you guys if you're actually going to ride in for your Russell Daylong appointment. Okay, final thoughts. So I rode about 5 hours to my Russell Daylong appointment, and so therefore I was pretty sore. And on the way back, probably because I was sore from the day before of riding, it felt a little firm. Now, they warned me that it was going to take at least 500, if not 1,000 miles for a break-in period. But one of the things that I can tell you, my lower back was pretty sore from the day before as well. And on the way home, I rode, I think, almost 5 hours straight with one stop. And the backrest was great. I mean, the backrest really gave my back support. I had it adjusted down low on my lower back. The one thing that I can tell you is that it kind of felt like it was pushing me forward in the seat. So yesterday when I went on the ride with Liz, the seat, I started the ride with the seat down, but she didn't like it because her legs were cramped. She could not put her legs as she normally would when she's sitting behind me on the passenger seat. On the way back from our ride, I put the back seat, or the seat back, in full top position, in other words, all the way up. And it actually felt better for me because I was not feeling like I was pushed forward, and her legs actually slipped underneath it. And one more little caveat, kind of an insider information thing, I guess, is she really liked it because she was able to put her hands on top of it, and it was kind of an armrest for her, because she never rides like this or around, you know, my waist. She usually just rides with her hands like this. So she was able to put her arms up there, and she loved it. Okay, so when I'm sitting in the back of the seat, the reason that they talk about scooting forward in your seat when you come to a stop is because at this point there's a lot of pressure right here on my thighs. And the reason is because this is built out to give your legs support actually while you're riding. So instead of sitting back like that when you're at a stop, what they talk about is scooting forward, and it's only an inch or two. So I scoot forward, and I'm actually almost able to flat foot on the ground when I come to a stop. And actually, these are my hiking boots. When I have my riding boots, it's probably just a little bit better. So I just wanted to show you that because a lot of people talk about it. I wanted you to see what it meant. I can tell you that, and I'm still going to withhold some of my my review in terms of mid or long-term review, but short-term, I can tell you that I already know that I'm going to love this seat, the backrest as well. But when I have that backrest in the top upright position, and I'm able to sit back in my seat, and I'm able, especially when I'm on the highway, man, it feels absolutely amazing like this, because I'm able to relax with my arms and relax my back in. And you know, when it's safe to put my feet up on the highway pegs or the floorboards, if that's what you call them, it's absolutely wonderful. And I'm quite sure that I'll be able to ride to Wyoming when the time comes. So I hope that you enjoyed the video. I hope that you enjoyed a little snippet of video and it wasn't too much of the short ride while I was with Russell DeLong. Feel free to post any questions or comments down below. And if you like the video, I'm going to do what all the other YouTubers do. I guess that's what you're supposed to do, is ask for, you know, a like or even hit the subscribe, because I'm going to be putting more stuff up. So thank you for your time. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, oh my Lord, watch me sway. Darkness falls and we all pray, hoping for the light of day. Down to the river I have held the devil's hand, felt the weight of my own sin, burdened by the heart of man. Down to the river, down to the river. Bury me, carry me taught me how to live, Daddy taught me how to give. Both of them had their own